I tried to find a way to turn back the time. I used to be all you need. High tide, can't hide when our world was burning inside. You were still all I could see. When did it all break open? How did it all begin to end? I feel the water rising every time I'm in over my head. When did the walls start caving? Running until there's nothing left. I feel the water rising every time I'm in over my I eat my dinner in my It was easy, free falling. There was something about you, nigga, like rolling. You were in line, had me scared and bruised. Now I used to cry, but I did for you. It keeps playing in my head, I just can't get you out of it. So nowhere to go without seeing your ghost. My spirit in love with the pain. I mean, this is insane. Got me new like a drug. Don't know why I always want it back. Worst mistake, but I'll do it again. Even though it'll be in vain. Thought I was over you. Why do I lie? It ain't true. My love is way too good. What do I spend Used to love, but nothing. Now you're be just like twins, so in sync. The same energy, there's a dead battery. You keep on calling my cell phone to tell me you're sorry. I heard it 1,000 times. You always tell me you changed now, back from the outside to turn back the hourglass. Why can't you be honest? Changing your mind, wasting my time. Love ain't just a promise. Over your kind, losing my mind. Why can't you be honest? Changing your mind, wasting my time. Love ain't just a promise. Over your kind, losing my mind. Why can't you be loving? Why can't you be loving? Why can't you be losing my mind?
heart that's lost and still with fear. When I think about it, I can see it clear. Time moves fast, but feels so slow. Is this a test? 'Cause I don't wanna know. Do you have pictures, or even a single thought? The ring that I gave you, or the necklace that I bought? Remember that fountain, or even that little shop? I didn't expect this, but you planned it from the start. I don't know what to do. All I want is you, you, you. Please don't say it's true. Don't you understand that you play me like a fool? That you don't let me, that you understand, that you don't let me, that you play me like a fool, that you understand me, that you understand, that you don't, that you play me like a fool. I think about the fights we had, things you said just to make me mad. All these words, they make me sad. When you lie about the love we never had. But we're different creatures, and that's what that time can heal. We have different features, and you lost your appeal. But now that I'm older, and now that some time has passed, your spell is over, and you know it wouldn't last. I don't know what to do. All I want is you, you, you. Please don't say it's true. Don't you understand that you play me like a fool? That you don't let me, that you understand, that you don't let me, that you play me like a fool, that you understand me, that you understand, that you don't, that you play me like a that you play me like a that you play me like a fool. Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Michelle. Thanks for joining a bit early today. We are going to start around 4. I have my cup of tea. It's hot, by the way. But we'll start at 4. Dewey and I will chat it out with you guys at 4. And then at 4:15, that's when the bulk of the resume review will be. So stay here, do whatever for 5 minutes, do your homework, study, enjoy life for the next 5 minutes, and we'll be back. I'll play some music in the meantime. Feel free to just don't mute it just in case I come back on before 4, but maybe just make it quieter if you're doing something else. All right, chat in 5 minutes.
Where are we supposed to go from here? It doesn't even. Nobody knows. No one knows where to go. Everybody's gone, but nobody knows why.
I could write you a letter, but you probably wouldn't read it anyway. So I put my pen down and pretend like I have nothing to say. And I could probably get better, but I know it'll take a long time away from you, because you ruined it, you ruined it. But you know I've seen this all before. It's nothing new, it's nothing new, it's nothing new. Oh no. But you know I've seen this all before. And there's a million other girls just like you. Oh yeah. But you know I've seen this all before. And we could fight till forever, and we still wouldn't know who started the war. Honestly, I just don't care anymore. And we could talk about something else, but there's nothing else, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else that's worth talking about with you. But you know I've seen this all before. It's nothing new, it's nothing new, it's nothing new. Oh no. But you know I've seen this all before. I hate to get repetitive, but I know what I'm talking about when I say, you know I've seen this all before. Oh yeah, alright, okay.
We're live! Hey guys, thanks for joining. We're here a bit early, a little earlier than our normal time at 4:15, but because we have Dewey and Nerly on, we're just gonna chill and have tea for like 15 minutes, talk about life, and then we're gonna get into the meat of today's talk. Oh, Belinda's here.
Holla.
Hey, Belinda.
You love to see it.
Hi,
Belinda, on
everyone.
time as always.
I actually thought I was going to be late. I had to reboot my camera. This is actually kind of an embarrassing story, but remember when there was the news anchor who turned into a cat?
Oh, yes.
Not news anchor.
yes.
He was
It was-
showing a courthouse meeting and talking to a judge. So it was a lawyer, and this was in Texas, but he became a cat. After that, I actually downloaded the camera filter onto my laptop. But since then, I've removed it on Zoom. I forgot I removed it on Google Meets, and I realized it was turning me into a cat. But in order to remove it, you have to actually reboot your computer and delete it. So
Oh.
anyways, that was my long-winded way
Oh
of
my
saying
gosh. Oh my
I had a
gosh.
crazy filter like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. No, that's funny.
And I'm still sneezing because I just took a COVID test.
Oh my gosh.
And they
Wait.
had me swab for like 15 seconds for each nostril. And I'm like,
Oh,
excuse
you're
me.
Hawaii now, right?
Yeah. So I just got my results back. I'm negative, so I'm good to go for Hawaii.
Oh, perfect.
I know. We'll see if Micah makes it. She was like, I might forget. Belinda, can you Slack her?
Yes.
I don't have my phone at my desk.
Actually, I will do one better. I will message her.
I love that.
Cool.
Well-
Guys, I know there are a lot of folks on the live session, so be sure to ask questions anytime throughout the call, but for those who just joined, we're just chilling here until the 4:15 mark. So
Should we wait for introductions, Michelle?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's wait for introductions. At
That's
least
fine.
tell me how your day has been. We'll go around and we'll talk about how our day has been.
Yo, like this has been like the most busy Thursday before a vacation of my life. I had to go to a bunch of meetings since this morning, all throughout the morning, and then I didn't have lunch until literally like 15 minutes ago, and I crammed some Jack in the Box into my mouth. And I had to go to the ceramic store and pick up some underglaze because I need to glaze all of my pieces today at the pottery studio before I go on vacation so that I can get fired while I'm away. I'm like, excuse me, I have an hour to do all this.
Oh my gosh. Why did you? Not why. That is a very busy day before your vacation, by
I
the
know.
way.
And I have to go to the studio for 3 hours today and just glaze all of my ceramic pieces.
Mm. Well, that's fun. What about you, Belinda?
What did I do today? Well, I am currently in Fort Myers, Florida. I am usually based in Dallas, Texas, but I am here with my boyfriend's family. So that's been fun. And yeah, it's just been a busy work day. I actually recently started a new role at City, like literally Monday of last week. So ever since starting, it's just been like lots and lots of meetings and all of this stuff. But
Well, because
it's
you're a PM now, so your entire life has meetings.
I
Congratulations.
know, I know, and it's just like fire drills left and right, and but yeah,
Cool.
otherwise it's been good.
Lots of meetings. I love it. Busy days. How about Nerly?
Um, so throughout this week, I've kind of been getting set up for city and everything.
Celebrating.
Yeah, celebrating. I just got my offer and I accepted. So yeah, it's been crazy exciting. And then today, I kind of catching up on cleaning because I've kind of let that go for this past 2 weeks. So yeah, just kind of did that today.
Nerly said, I'm preparing for the city interview, and that's it. And doing
Exactly.
nothing else with my life.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Really.
I love it. Well, this week has been quite uneventful for me. I spent 5 hours on TikTok yesterday, so talk about
Yes, go ahead.
unproductive. Talk about unproductive. But yeah, I'm obsessed with 10-second videos for like 5 hours straight.
One of the analysts at City that I talked to like a couple of months ago, she was like, "So when are you starting a TikTok? I have some influencer friends. Do you want me to like hook you up with these influencers so we can start you on TikTok?" I'm like, "Look at me. Do you think I want to be on TikTok?"
You'd be hilarious though. I know there was like, I was talking to my brother and he's like, "You're on TikTok? Ugh, TikTok. Instagram's where it's at." Or Discord. And I'm like, "What do you do on Discord?"
Game and live stream. That's what I do.
Yeah, I was like, "You get no like social media stuff." And he's like, "No, I just play games. That's what I do." And I was like,
Same.
I cannot play games though. Like my husband forces me to play games like Smash, and I just fall off the screen. I'm like, "No, please." So we play like Infinite Life, but 5 minutes, and that's just oh my gosh. So I know we have the other question I have for you. So how do you guys know Dewey actually?
I saw his post on LinkedIn. So he said, I'm still hiring. So I kind of started following him ever since and kind of talked to him through it. And he's always answers, which is amazing. So yeah, it's been great.
I'm wildly responsive on LinkedIn. Like I'm unhealthily responsive on LinkedIn. Like somebody will ping me on LinkedIn and or Slack, and like they get a response within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
It's like really dangerous. Don't for all the people live, please don't flood my inbox now.
No, I think that's an invitation, guys. I think that's an invitation.
Shrieking.
Yeah. How about you,
And then Belinda's
Belinda?
in
How do you
here.
know Dewey?
I met him on my first day at work. So I started City February. Oh my gosh, can't speak English right now. Of last year, and yeah, so Dewey helped me onboard, get all set up at City. I guess like we kind of like talked beforehand on Slack, but yeah, the rest was history.
The rest is history. I met Dewey maybe 2-3 months ago, and I saw one of his posts, and I was like, "You're cool. Let's talk." And we talked.
Usually.
Yeah.
Usually how it goes with me. I'm actually meeting somebody that I met on LinkedIn in Hawaii because she's like, we're like best friends now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she lives in Seattle, but she landed in Hawaii yesterday, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're here too?" And I'm like, "Yes, let's meet up because I'm gonna be with my boyfriend and his friends the entire time, so I need some of my friend alone time." So I'm like, "Yes,
Oh my
my
gosh.
people." This is what being on
This is
LinkedIn gets you. Actually, this is what being on LinkedIn and then just like being really real with people gets you. Just like really authentic friendships.
Yeah. Where for folks who are tuning in now, where are you guys from? I'm curious to know. By the way, I messaged people in the LinkedIn chat, and we actually have people from like Mexico, East Coast, Midwest, also the West Coast, but it's kind of all over the world. So,
Holla,
yeah. Oh, I think one person from Brazil as well. So you have a lot of rep here.
dang, repping international.
I know. Oh, Oregon, SF, Houston. Oh, we got three from Houston. No, sorry,
Oh,
San
how about Houston folks
Antonio.
there?
Um, Texas. Literally like half these people from Texas. And one from Florida. I'm from Reno, guys. in Nevada. The
Oh,
state that
we're like
can't
neighbors.
count.
We're like neighbors.
We're not neighbors.
I'm in Arizona right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
what? What brings you there?
My partner lives here, so whenever the pandemic started, I like skedaddled to Arizona.
Oh my gosh. Do you regret it? Do you want to go back to Texas?
Wildly not. I love the arid climate. I'm from Vietnam, so I'm like, this heat, shine on me,
But Vietnam is
attack me.
humid heat.
Yeah, but it's still hot.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And Texas still gets cold, and I'm like, not a fan of that.
does it really?
Oh yeah, Dallas still gets winter and hail and cold.
And
Oh,
apparently snow after this year.
Mhm,
But
oh
it's
no.
crazy.
Belinda, you're in warm weather right now too.
Yeah, I mean, Florida is definitely humid heat. Dallas is also hot too. I grew up in LA, so I'm used to the heat. But I also spent like the past like decade on the East Coast, so um,
Hey, East Coast rep. I was in New Jersey for like 4 years and then I left. I hopped out. I was like, nope, see ya. It
The only
was
time I've ever been to the East Coast is when I went to New York for a city business conference, and then later when I returned to New York twice to get my tattoo.
Oh,
why New York? That's so.
Um, so I like pick very specific artists that like whose art style that I resonate with, and then also like I vet them for like their morals and values as well, because I'm not trying to get a tattooed by like a bigot. So that narrows down my tattoo options significantly.
Question for you, Dewey. What is the tattoo you most regret?
Oh, none of them.
None of them.
I have zero tattoos that I regret
Ooh.
because all of them I got at like a very either like momentous time in my life or signify something that is like core to my beliefs and values. So
Ooh.
yeah,
Fun.
yeah,
That's.
I don't get like on a whim tattoos. I research it for a year and then I sit on it.
Oh
oh
my
my.
gosh. What is something I researched for a year? Probably very little. Very little.
I like to just have as much information about something going in as much as possible. So like whenever I first started like ceramics, I would just sit on YouTube, still do, sit on YouTube for hours and hours and hours, and then on Pinterest for hours and hours and hours, and just like pin
Oh
all
my
these
gosh.
ideas before I actually went and actually like made something.
Ooh. No, that's fair. So what's your next tattoo, Dewey?
So I either want to go back to Korea and find the Korean tattoo artist that did two of my pieces, this one here and then on my thigh, and like get another one by her. Or there's another tattoo artist in Beijing who does really traditional, like watercolor, but with like Chinese ink style tattoos, and I really want to get one by her.
Ooh. So you're gonna
That's
have to fly
currently.
for that.
Oh yeah,
You're
my
gonna have to like
tattoos are
after
very like
COVID.
international.
Yeah.
I have one from Korea. I have one from Vietnam. I have one from Thailand. Just like I'm just making my rounds
You
around the Asian
are.
country.
It's like instead of a postcard, you have like a nice tattoo. Cool. We're 2 minutes away from the live session.
Oh,
So for those who are unfamiliar with Disclose, we typically go through the disclaimers, intros, and we share resumes that I've actually already provided to Dewey. A little different this time though, because we have two guests here with us, Nerly and Belinda. So in the intro, they'll introduce themselves, but Dewey has their resumes, and they've been part of Citi or have just been accepted to Citi recently. So that's why they're here today. Um, yeah, so we're gonna have a really fun time. I know we have 2 minutes left. We have, oh gosh, we have someone from Canada as well. Um, yeah, and a lot of people from Texas. So, oh gosh, just kidding.
shout out
I'm
to the
sure you guys are
Texans.
cool from Texas. I love
Shout
you
out to the
guys.
Texans. Yee
um,
howdy.
maybe we'll go around. I have one more question for you guys. Fun question. I already know Dewey picked up ceramics during COVID, but what is one hobby you picked up outside of ceramics during COVID? We'll go over. I'll start first. I started making my own boba at home.
No.
Nice.
Yeah, so because of
How's
the
the texture?
oh, it's actually really good. I make black sesame, ube, and brown sugar. I do not like the one that I made for chocolate. That one's disgusting.
Yeah, chocolate boba.
Yeah, no,
Questionable.
don't do it. I regret it. I just threw it out. But then I started like a small little side hustle on boba, selling boba, and then I realized how little money I was making, and I was spending like 5 hours making like
I thought that was going the other direction.
No, because boba sales is very lucrative, technically.
yeah, technically, if you're like a mass market, but if you're like me, actually rolling each individual
Oh
ball,
yeah, no.
hey, it is not very lucrative. I was making like $2 an hour, but I was having fun, guys. I was
Yo, my
having
partner was like, let's open a boba shop whenever we're established. And I'm like, okay, good luck.
well, you could do that. What else did you pick up during COVID, Dewey?
Well, nothing I picked up, but um, picked up weight during COVID. No, I did a little bit more of my, like, I delved a little bit more into my calligraphy because I want to combine my calligraphy and my ceramics eventually. So I just bought some underglazes today, and I'm gonna start painting them, my pieces, very soon, like literally in like an hour.
What about you, Belinda? What'd you pick up?
Let's see. I did a lot of like
Belinda picked up a dog.
Yeah, I did a pandemic dog. I adopted a dog. It's a little cute beagle named Tyrion after Tyrion Lannister. Definitely baked. I wrote a book. I guess that was like my
Oh,
COVID.
yeah.
What?
She picked up a copyright. She picked up a full copyright.
Yeah, so I wrote a YA novel, and that's out on Amazon. And
Can we get the link
yeah.
for it afterwards? Just plug it to
Yeah,
our people.
sure.
Yeah.
If anyone is into Gossip Girl or Crazy Rich Asians, then that is the book for you.
P.S. Belinda should be really leading this workshop because she's wildly successful.
No, that's not true. Dewey is definitely your go-to person. I'm just here along for the ride.
How about you, Nerly? What else? What'd you pick up during COVID?
Well, I just bought my husband a 3D printer. So we're just starting that, kind of learning how that works and all that stuff. It's a lot of moving parts. So.
You're gonna hit yourself whenever the plastic gets stuck in the extruder and you have to manually unstuck it by hand. We had to build a 3D printer when my senior capstone, and it was the worst experience of my life. Never going back.
Well, looking forward to that then.
Oh gosh. Cool. So we are at the 4:17 mark, just a little late, but that's okay. We had a really good conversation around just getting to know all of us with color outside of the resume. So first things first, when I start these sessions with Disclosed, I like to start out with disclaimers or covenants before just to start the session out. So 3 disclaimers for Disclosed in this session. The first one, advice in this session is not endorsed by the company, but rather by the individual, based off of their personal experience. Second, this is a safe space for learning. We don't tolerate any personal attacks in the chat, in the call, anywhere, even offline related to Disclosed. Um, the third thing I want to put out there is that the folks here in this call, hiring managers, guests, have been chosen because they've had experience screening resumes or have inputs towards what's a good resume, or is the person with the good resume, which is a critical step within the hiring process. So without further ado, let's get started with a round of introductions. Tell me about how you've had experience screening resumes, and maybe how you fit into the third criteria, why you've been invited in this session. So I'll start with Dewey.
Holla! Hey, my name is Dewey, like the morning grass. And my experience in screening resumes is that I am responsible for screening and then interviewing and then hiring all of the software developers and data scientists for Citi's Global Consumer Technology Organization. The Global Consumer Technology Organization is the one that creates all of the consumer-facing apps. So if you guys think about the Citibank Online app or the Apple Watch app or even Citi.com that millions of people use every day, that's what we are responsible for.
Cool. Belinda, what brings you here today?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. So my experience with screening resumes is really helping Dewey make sure that we get the best candidates possible through the pipeline. So that means behavioral and/or technical interviews. It includes interns as well. Prior to joining Citi, actually, I also worked as a strategy consultant. So I helped with consulting interviews too. And then internship programs for nonprofits and whatnot. So got a little bit of variety there.
Yeah, and Melinda does a lot of our behavioral interviews sometimes too, because she's great at it.
Cool. And last but not least, Nerly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nerly. So I actually graduated from the boot camp at the end of December. So since then, I've kind of just been working on getting things ready. I worked on my resume a lot. So I did many different drafts. I also went to like a resume review. And then from there, that's my final resume that I was able to submit to Citi and get hired.
Awesome. I love how you simplified it. Get hired. I just did my resume. I got hired.
Get hired. Do resume, get hired, profit.
Definitely a lot more than that.
Okay, so how it's gonna go is Dewey is gonna screen share the resumes that I've sent over to him. They are all anonymized, and he hasn't actually read through these resumes before, so this is actually the first time he's looking through these resumes, and we're gonna see how he views these resumes as if he were getting it for his position that he is hiring for or has hired for.
Yep.
So without further ado, we'll go to that, and then we'll end with some questions that I've prepared for Dewey.
Cool. We're going to go through this real quick. Before I open up and share my screen, I just want to give you guys a couple of things that I'm going to be looking for. So I'm probably going to go through these like pretty quickly, but I want to go through these. I want to give you guys the different criteria or different like bullet points that I tend to look for. So the first thing that I tend to look for, because it's Citi policy, is I look for kind of like the citizenship aspect. Can I tell if this person has like U.S. citizenship? Because Citi is not allowed to sponsor anyone. Unfortunately, like if you don't have U.S. citizenship, it's really hard for us to give you an interview. So that is something that we look out for. And then the second thing that I look out for is graduation date, just to make sure that if you're attending a university, that you are applying to the correct rec. Because if you're a junior and you're applying to a full-time position, I'm not going to interview you, right? Third thing, I look for what educational background you have. Is it a university? Is it a boot camp? Are you self-taught? Whatever it may be, I look for that. Then the things that I look out for after that, kind of those like logistical things and diving deeper into your experiences. So what do you list first, whether it be career or whether it be projects? I read through some of the descriptions on the projects and read through some of the descriptions on your job history to see if you have made any quantitative impact or to see if you have created projects that stand out. And by projects that stand out, I mean, can I see a part of your personality or a part of your experience behind these projects? And it's not just, I built a calculator app. Cool? All right. Let's
Cool.
go. Present now. A window. This thing here. Out of my million tabs. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so we're gonna go. So we look at this one first. We look at.
So guys, he's gonna do it silently, but watch where he looks at.
And then we're gonna look at skills.
Dewey, I feel like when you leave your mouse without moving, we lose it.
Okay. Should I keep my mouse still?
Oh,
Okay.
no. Keep your mouse moving.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, love that.
Ooh. So he's definitely looking at the experience and the projects.
Okay, so done with that one. Should I go through my like little reasoning for each one of them?
Ooh. Yeah.
Or should I go through all of them first and then go back?
How about let's go through all of them?
Okay.
And then
great.
we'll spend some time on each one of them. So that took 20 seconds, guys.
Great. So the first thing, I looked at the education, right? So they got a bachelor's in computer science and engineering looks like an Indian university, and then they got their master's at the University of Chicago. My first hesitation with this is that, like, generally because it's a entry-level role, it's a little bit more, we like to hesitate a little bit more in terms of the more senior folks with a lot of senior educational experience, primarily because we're afraid that they're just not going to accept our offer and we're just going to waste their time, right? So then that's why I dig deeper into kind of their skill sets. So that's why I went down here and looked at kind of their skill sets, like what are they familiar with? And so I am looking for, so the main roles that we hire for, right, are microservices, Angular, iOS, and Android. So those are the 4 roles, and I see if they have any of those experiences. So I'm seeing Java here, I'm seeing Python here. Those are object-oriented language. So like, great, check. And then they have AngularJS and Node.js, which are front-end frameworks. So great, love that. Let's see if they could back up this knowledge with any of their experiences. So I look at their skills, and then I look at their experiences, right? So looks like they have their most recent experience is at the University of Chicago. I look primarily for quantitative, right? My eye immediately gets drawn to all the quantitative aspects on the resume first. So quantitative right here, saved 1,100 hours of manual work. Love that. Eye for improvement. This person has an eye for improvement, and they have an eye for wanting to improve the place where they're working, right?
Ooh, what do you think about folks bolding the numbers?
I generally recommend people bold their numbers if at all possible. And if you don't have a quantitative impact in a previous job experience that you have on your resume, I guarantee you're missing something because everyone has something that they can quantify. You're just not thinking about it yet.
I'm going to add on to that. If you're going to bold your numbers, you better be consistent about it. Like, don't just bold one. If you don't keep it across, then that's also a...
At the other end of the spectrum, too, don't bold 5 million things on your resume. It's moot point at that point. I have seen both, so there you are. And then finally, I like skim through their projects because most of the time, the people's descriptions of their projects just reiterates what their skills sets are, and I'm just looking to see where their interest lies. And it looks like a lot of like disaster tweets and streaming data, and movie stuff. So this person looks for a lot of movie stuff. So great. Some insight about their personality and interests. So that's the things that you can draw from the resume, like the conclusions that I tend to make from a resume. All right. Great. Next. Anything else I should talk about here?
No, that was
Right, no.
quite. So one question I've read from Nandini. I'm sorry, if I'm butchering your name. How many bullet points are usually liked by the reader in a resume? And can you give an idea of how lengthy each bullet point should be? This resume is 1 line per bullet point.
Mhm.
How long should that be to make it design friendly?
Yeah. Try to keep it to 1 line per bullet point. If you get to 2 lines, try to make it semi-consistent throughout your resume. If you guys think about how like the human eye likes to look at things on a page, the human eye really likes symmetry, and so if you have like 1 line that's like out of order and that's 2 lines long in your description, it kind of it's a little bit jarring for the eye, right? I mean, it's not going to count against you, but it's just a little bit jarring for the eye to have to like read onto the next line. So, just some experience things. In terms of the number of bullet points, it really depends on how user-friendly you make each of the bullet points in terms of like readability. You can have like 5 bullet points per job description as long as you make it readable.
I have I have another question on readable, but I might save that for the next resume.
Okay, Hala. All right, moving on. Ooh, right is big. All right. Okay, great. Courses. Okay. Okay, Kathy.
Ooh, so he's really going through the experience right now. Um, and because this is anonymized, guys, some folks are not comfortable with putting project names in specific universities, just so we put that disclaimer in there. So it's up to where the student is feeling comfortable with.
Okay, it's cool. So this is a very standard basic format, basic resume format, right? The reason I, excuse me, tend to like these is because it's predictable and I know kind of how the sections are all split up. I always like a bar, to be honest, because it really splits up the sections and you get a very clear delineation of which section is which section. One of the things that this resume is lacking is kind of that quantitative impact that we mentioned, right? In the last one, you guys saw that there was a lot of descriptions that contained a lot of quantitative impact, how they measured their impact on an organization or on a group. This first one, the only thing that I immediately drew in my eye was this. I saw it immediately, right? And so because I only see this, that meant I had to dig in a little bit more into the resume in order to get what I wanted from this person, right? Get kind of more information about this person and their impact. So that's why you saw me spend a little bit more time on kind of that experience section. I see that they use this Strappy tool, Python and Flask. I see that they increase website traffic here. I wish they would have been a little bit more specific on this description specifically, because the reason that they increased website traffic by this percentage was they said developing front-end web pages. That doesn't really tell me anything. It tells me the technology that they use, but what design concept did they use in order to, increase website traffic? There's always a reason that the website traffic increased after implementing a specific new front-end framework, right? Was it because they increased load times? Was it because they organized the footer and headers in a better user experience way? Was it because they made the website more accessible and ADA compliant? Which one is it? Instead of just telling me which framework that they used, right? So from here on down, I'm already like, ooh, okay, questionable. Do I want to interview this person because I don't see any like impact yet, right? So then I had to dig a little bit more into their projects. So I'm seeing that they like hiking, love that. Collaborated with organizations on project aimed against racism, really love that. and artificial intelligence for a board game. So they like hiking board games and are anti-racist. Really like that. So your projects tell a lot about who you are as a person. So long as you do projects that you're actually interested in, right? Or talk about projects on your resume that you're actually interested in. And sometimes this can be the difference. This section can be the difference between whether or not you get an interview or not, right? Because up here, I'm not seeing a lot of impact so far, but I want to talk to this person a little bit more because of some of their interests and some of their values. So
Yeah.
don't underestimate the importance of your project section.
Yeah, I have a question on numbers. You're talking about two questions on impact. So, magnitude of impact. Do you see that it's 5 to 13% and you're like, that's okay? Or do you see that the fact that they at least measure it is a good sign?
So first thing is, did they even measure it in the first place? Because the measurable part is just quantifying it in the first place is great. Magnitude, I can't tell how 5 to 13% looks in terms of this traffic, right? Because 5 to 13 could be 5 people if the website was getting like, like 100 people, right? It could be 5,000 people. So it is or if you're talking about the city website, it could be like 200,000 people. We don't know, right? And so in order to better get a sense of the magnitude, you have to put that type of magnitude within the description as well. Otherwise, you're just letting the resume reader assume things. But
Gotcha.
I always assume positive. But not everyone is me.
Gotcha. So magnitude does matter. I'm actually wondering what other quantifiable things. So a lot of students ask, I don't know what is quantifiable or what is actually considered impact. Can we brainstorm amongst the four of us? What is something that would constitute impact?
Mhm.
I'll start first. Obviously dollars saved or dollars made. So revenue. That's one that I typically see in my role.
Yep.
What about you?
In terms of student organizations, if you're a student in a university and you don't have that much internship experience in terms of working in an actual enterprise setting, you can always rely on like student organizations that you've been a part of, increasing membership count, increasing participation, managing budgetary, factors for the organization, whatever it may be. There is something quantitative that you can say.
Cool.
Yeah, and even if you come from a less like quantitative background, I actually started out as a Asian studies major in college, and for all the, I thought everything had to be qualitative, but in fact, like if you're managing people, you could say like, yeah, I was senior intern here, managed 10 people. You could say you managed X amount of projects. You could say you wrote X amount of essays, or like did 30 pages of, it wrote a 30-page research paper. Those are numbers too, so that also counts.
Anything, so the human mind, the human psyche really likes to grab onto numbers because they can process it a lot easier whenever something is in terms of numbers and units than whenever something is qualitative. When you use qualitative, you're relying on the fact that your words will elicit an emotion in the person's brain, and a lot of times resume readers are not ready to have their emotions elicited during a resume read through. So a quantitative number will help them get to that kind of that like STEM mindset of like, what value did you actually provide?
Cool. Nerly, what's your experience with impact? How did you frame your resume for impact?
So I think it's a little hard, especially with something that you don't have experience in. So I think it just takes a lot of like brainstorming and like taking your time to really think of what you did at your previous experiences or your projects and things like that. So I think it's just about taking that time to really think about this stuff.
Gnarly is a special case. I will tell you guys how I processed her resume whenever we get there.
Yeah. The last thing I want to add for impact, it shows what the before and after is quite clearly with the magnitude. So any numbers that you have, percent efficiencies, right? If you're looking for if you're stuck with, well, what's the impact? Ask why you did it. If you weren't there, if you weren't hired, what would have happened? That is a great way to quantify impact. If you weren't a server at Starbucks, how long would the wait time have been? Or, how long would someone have to wait through the Starbucks line? So think of things that if you were not there, if you did not implement a specific process, what would have been the implications? So that's something that I used, and I've seen other people use to get those numbers for those who are stuck.
All right, cool.
Cool. Third
Next,
resume.
go. All right. Okay. Okay.
Right off the bat, can I just say I don't like those bullet points.
Girl, it's okay. We out here.
Like the circle, like the bolded and the null circles.
Yeah, so you'll want to left align all of the experiences and just have like the normal bullet points for the actual things that you did.
Okay. A couple of things about this outside of what Belinda said, because I do agree with her. This is a little bit jarring, to be honest. So first of all, the education, like being right in the middle, is a little bit jarring to me. Usually, it's like very at the very top or at the very bottom, depending on where you are in your stage of your career, right? Like usually, if you're fresh out of somewhere and you just want people to know your educational experience right off the bat, put it at the top. If you've been in the industry for a while and you just want people to know that where your alma mater was, put it at the bottom, because then your work experience matters a little more there. This being in the middle, it tends to be a little bit jarring. It's not a gigantic deal, but it tends to be a little bit jarring. Then all of these different like technical skills, it's a little bit jarring to me just because they split it into both experience and then proficient, and then like how do I quantify that in my head? I don't know how to quantify that in my head. Like, what do you mean experienced, right? What do you mean proficient? What is your qualifier for that? I don't know, right? I can't tell. And then the objective section. So I have a couple of different trains of thoughts about the objective section. If your objective section does not stand out from the other people who are writing the same objective, don't include it. It's just wasting space, right? If you're going to write an objective section, make sure it's hard hitting. Make sure it's a hook. Like Belinda's book, like how are you going to hook the reader, right? Because the objective section should be the part, if the reader reads it, where they want to read more about you.
Ooh, just curiosity's sake. So you mentioned the objective is kind of the intro to a book.
Yeah.
If there's something interesting about you, let's say you were an Olympian, skater or something, but that's not relevant for software engineering. Is that something where you would put as part of the, not objective, but maybe like in the personal statement in the beginning?
Yeah, so if it's in the objective, that's totally fine too. Just make sure that whatever you're looking for is very clear up front. So like if you're looking for a software engineering role, okay, say software engineering right in the beginning, but then follow it up with what makes you stand out from the other applicants applying to this software engineering role.
Cool.
What makes you stand out as a software engineer?
Cool.
Right.
Or most likely you would prefer no objective statement because it's probably a waste of space.
Yeah, usually like if you have things to say, you're going to use all the space on the resume, right? This resume uses 0.5 inch margins, which is pretty standard for people who are like trying to cram more stuff into your resume, which is fine. Love that. They do use a lot of quantifiers. The quantifiers are a little bit hidden though because of how like verbose their descriptions are. A lot of their descriptions are quite verbose, and I think you can shorten some of these for sure. Whoever this is. Yeah. Um,
Small thing as well. I see periods on some bullets and no periods on others. I know it seems like very tiny, but then
some resume readers are that nitpicky.
Mm-hmm. So you would
And
prefer consistency, not just period or no period.
yeah, consistency is definitely the key. I think in my head, maybe because I started out in the corporate world, it's kind of like it shows attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure. And are these like delineation lines different bolds? But
I
yeah,
think
okay, it's
so,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just purely because I used to be in user experience and design, I catch these things. So not everybody will catch these things. It's just something that I tend to do. Um, and then finally, the kind of relevant project section. I appreciate the amount of attention that you tried to go into by explaining it, but my eye kind of like glazes over like this entire section because like there's no numbers, and
Mm.
I'm just like, you're literally just telling me exactly what you did, but there's no like what is like the goal of this project, right? Like why did you build it? What was the motivation behind this?
Mm.
um so there's that.
Gotcha. And even with, I see some terms there, accelerated, which indicates speed. So there's
Right,
always an quantitative aspect,
right, exactly,
right?
which was not included here,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately,
So,
so I wish would have included
so
that.
how technical would you want a resume to be? Because if you get too detail oriented, it becomes, you know, two lines per bullet point.
Right, so here's the thing. You have to understand who is reading these resumes. Is the person reading these resumes, because usually it's one of two types of people. The type of person who is in HR and have no idea what technical skills they're looking for, and have no idea what about the technical jargon that you're using in your resume. If you use too much technical jargon in your resume with those type of people, you're out because they don't want to bother reading all of those things that they don't understand, right? The other type of person is the engineer who has engineering experience and can understand all of the jargon that you use. Now, and under that engineering umbrella, two types of people. There's the people like me who don't just purely look for engineering terms and who are like, yo, like, show me what you got and tell me the different languages that you can use, but then like actually show me what your impact has been. And then there's the other type of engineer who is purely technical and will want you to write exactly the like minute details that you use in order to implement a solution. How you go about learning who reads these type of resumes, it depends on doing your research and doing your networking.
Mm,
That's all I can tell you.
cool. Belinda, any other last comments on this resume? I know there were a lot of inconsistencies. I think that was the main thing you noticed in this resume. Was there anything else that kind of just spoke to you?
Yeah, I think Dewey covered a lot of it. The okay, this is so nitpicky, but is Visual Studios
VS Code.
plural or isn't it just Visual
I
Studio?
think it's Video Studio. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like nitpicky stuff for me. And then the second one is like probably no colon after the like first line in experience. So you see like the dates and then colon, like maybe have it left aligned and right aligned.
Oh, oh my gosh.
Yeah, sorry, my brain just
No, no, that's
goes.
Just little.
insightful though.
So
But I guess that shows that some people like me are a little like OCD about these things. And
exactly,
it
right?
like picks it
And
up.
you never know who you're going to be reading your resume, right? Who's going to be reading your resume. And so you have, whenever you're crafting your resume, you have to craft your resume in such a way that you have the highest possible chance of them saying, okay, we will move this person through for an interview. And so
Mm,
all those little itty bitty things that you mentioned, it seems like, oh, this is very arbitrary. But taken in totality on your resume, it can sometimes look like you are not paying attention to those little details.
gotcha.
And the
Cool.
more like little itty bitty mistakes that you have like that on your resume, or inconsistencies rather, not mistakes, the higher the probability that the person reading your resume is going to catch one of them.
And they're going to look for other things too.
Right.
Gotcha. And that's probably something where students can give their resumes to peers to do. That's
For
not
sure.
something you need hiring managers to take a look at.
Yeah.
Well,
Look
yeah.
at give your peers to do it, get your parents to do it, get somebody who's unfamiliar with your industry to look at your resume and say, yo, you might not understand any of the words on this resume. That's totally fine. Just check it for syntax.
Love it.
Because then they can focus on the syntax instead of having all of that background information about engineering or computer science in their brain.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Is this the next one, the last one?
There's one more.
Okay, great. Okay, love. Next. All right. Okay.
One of the questions, maybe as Dewey's reading it, Belinda and Nerly, is the use of color. Yay or nay? Consistent use of color, at least.
I'm a nay. I think black and white is the way to go. Just for a couple of different reasons. One, I think there's also a lot of like robotic, like AI resume readers. Like they're not going to care about the color, so you're kind of wasting valuable time there. And then
ATS. ATS.
yeah. And then the second thing is that it could be distracting. It actually distracts you from like what is like important. If you really want to call something out, bold it. And then the third reason this could come up, someone could be colorblind and they just might not be able to like see it at all. That
Accessibility,
actually
man.
happened before. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts, Dewey?
Okay, so right away I was like, whoa, this is a lot. Because everything just like hit me all at once, and there's like 3 different colors on here, and there's a lot of different types of fontage, and there's different weightage of fontage, and there's different sizes, and it's just everything is a lot, right? So let me point out all of the like inconsistencies or like the non-consistent parts of this resume, right? So you got about 4 different colors on here. This is one, this is one, this might be another one here, this is another one here, and then like this like semi-opaque, not really opaque one here, right? And I'm just like, what am I looking at right now? Because it's not standardized, right? And then this section, I was really confused about this section. I was like, so your GitHub is up here, but your LinkedIn is down here, but then you also have your email over here and your phone number here. And then like you said that you're a US citizen, which is great. This is this great part right here. Just call that out because some resume readers might be, prejudiced and they might have bias. And so if they don't see that you're a US citizen, they might just assume from your name. So great job to put that like citizenship thing there. All the skills are just like in one, like, just like word salad. And I'm just like, I just want to call out, like, it's JavaScript, React, and then it goes attention to detail, problem solving, and then go to graphic design, and then type, and it's just a lot. All of these things are a lot, and they don't really have anything to do with correlation to each other. So divide that into different sections, or just take some of those things out that don't match the other. Like one of these things doesn't belong. Several of these things don't belong.
Yeah, it's interesting that you note here where it's all the skills are under the skill section. But in the previous resume, there were like 5 sections of skills.
Right.
So what is the good amount of sections within skills, and how can you differentiate between those?
Yeah, I would say 2 to 3 is great. Technical skills, and then like leadership skills.
Good.
Easy.
Love it.
And then this is a little bit strange to me because like the different sections are, Belinda, is this right indented or middle indented? And then their headings of their, like the actual companies that they've worked on is left indented, which is not what I expect. It's like, it makes me uncomfortable. It's a little bit discomforting from what I'm used to, which is sometimes fine, but in this case, it just makes it a little bit harder to read.
Mm.
Yeah, like skills and experience really should be like the first indent, and everything underneath is like indented
And
to the right.
yeah,
Yeah, and then it should also be organized by chronological order. So like you kind of see it chronologically, but then I noticed like Res Ed Inc. is November 2016 to present. So you want
right.
everything present on top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's generally where people assume that you are making the most impact right now and your most recent place of impact. Other thing is, once again, no quantitative impact. And I think I'm unsure if these are supposed to be like URLs, and my thing is just not loading it. Oh, maybe it is. Great, love that. Okay, I see. Some of these are supposed to be URLs.
Hmm.
If you're going to make things URLs, you can just either underline them or italicize them to make sure that it is stands out instead of using a different color, because not everyone understands that a color is a different URL, especially when they're reading resumes.
I've seen resumes with buttons. It's like a square around
Right.
it. I like that because it just show. I know someone who prints them out, actually prints all the resumes out and reads them because that's how he works.
Right.
But he likes having different shapes and he doesn't have a
Hmm.
color printer, so he
There you
just
go.
prints everything in black.
So that's something to
Hmm.
consider. And then the education is down here at the bottom.
Yep.
Great, that's pretty standard. Just this little like indent thing just bothers me a little bit. But other than that, I wish there was more like quantitative impact here, because a lot of these things don't tell me a significant amount. And it's not giving me any magnitude in my head,
Yeah.
because I can find somebody who has done full-time hands-on project-based collaborative software engineering in JavaScript. Like I probably get 20 of those in any like PDF of resumes that I get, right? Um, I can find people who've done test-driven development. So it's kind of those things that are
Mm.
like, how do you make these descriptions unique to you,
Mm.
right? Um, how do you make yourself stand out while also saying, "Yo, I have the requisite skill set."
Gotcha. I like that there's a fact that you're talking about standing out, so being unique without being too unique. So without making the education in the middle where it's non-conventional.
Yeah, like don't make yourself you stand out in like a caricature kind of way. Like don't cater yourself to the corporate machine. Don't do that. That's gross. Hate that. Just really be thinking about the values that you want the company to see about who you are as a person, and then what is it that makes you unique in terms of what you add your own unique insight to the organization, and how you bring change or bring innovation to wherever you work,
Cool. I love
or
it.
wherever your values may be.
The other
Great.
question I have for it's mostly the process within City. So, Dewey, when you receive a resume, you like it, do you give it to your team to also review before you accept an interview?
So whenever we do resume reviews, there's like a team of three of us, and we just sit on a call and we look through all of the resumes, and we come to a consensus on which resumes we would like to pass to the interview process. Whichever resumes we pass through the interview process, they get a codility pretest, and then they sign up. They get signed up for a behavioral interview with one of the behavioral interviewers.
Gotcha. So it seems like that resume is vetted from for all three of those hiring managers.
Hmm.
So you guys agree upon it. So it's not just one person with one personality reviewing one resume. It goes through a couple of personalities. That's why Dewey and Belinda did mention that you need to pay attention to detail. If one person out of the three does not, they don't see the value of that resume, then it's out.
So, out of the three of us, one of us used to be a back end engineer. One of us used to be in user experience and design, me, and then one of us used to be a front end dev lead. So, 2/3 of us have an eye for design already. So, think about what
Ooh,
you're submitting whenever you're submitting your resumes.
cool. Okay. The
Because Micah will call someone out. Micah will call someone out if they are not paying attention to detail.
Oh, I love that. I like that. So the last part, I know we're near the 5 o'clock mark. The last thing I want to do is rank the resume. So as part of Disclose, um, folks who pass the resume screening gets the 30-minute one-on-one with Dewey, and that's how we typically run. Because we have multiple people on this call, I'm gonna have Dewey give his thoughts first. Maybe if you guys can write it down, Belinda and Nerly, if you guys can rank the resumes 1, 2, 3, 4. The first one, rank them in order of which one you like the best.
Hmm.
Um, so you're not affected by Dewey. That would be great.
I'm done.
Okay, do you guys need to see the resumes again? 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. So this is 1 nearly, and then this is 2. Okay. And then this is 3, and this is 4. You good?
cool. Let me raise your hand when you're done, or you can just say I'm done.
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
done.
Belinda's done.
Great.
Nerly's done. Dewey, you're good.
Yep.
Okay. So what's the verdict, Dewey?
Okay, so this one really standard, a lot of quantitative impact. Great, love that. Number 1.
Cool.
And then honestly, it's in order, to be honest with you. 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, good. Easy.
Same with me.
Yeah, hey,
Yeah. But I will say for number 4, if you're on this call,
Oh.
you are an incredibly interesting person. I think your resume just needs like a revamp. But like
Yeah.
when I read the bullet points and your experience, like there's a lot of good stuff that can
Exactly.
definitely be
like
be
the NASA
fun.
one really stands out. You work for the city, and that stands out. And this is like a board game, which I love board games, by the way. So that stands out as well. Just like the infrastructure of the resume needs a little bit of work.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for your rankings. I'll weight them. I think it's in general, I think I know how it's going to be ranked.
Yeah.
So for folks who landed in the top, so 1 and 2, you are guaranteed a one-on-one with Dewey. But I think Dewey, you're okay with the one-on-one with all of them anyways. So it's not fair that the bad resumes don't get help. So that's why Dewey has assisted in having the one-on-ones with everyone here. So outside of the resume, there's a lot of questions in the chat. Oh, sorry, I have allergies, so I'm like stuffy.
Yes, girl. We here.
Ugh.
Allergy crew.
So I know there's a lot of questions in the chat, probably around 30 to 40. No way we
Yike.
can go through that today, guys.
Yike.
So what I'm gonna do is maybe Belinda, Nerly, Dewey. I'll send over some of the main questions, and let's do like a newsletter article on that, a Medium article, answering some
Sure.
of those questions together. How does that sound?
Sure.
Okay.
Love that.
Awesome. And then I do have some questions for all of you guys. You can stop sharing your the resumes now.
Okay, great.
So the first question, oh my god, blah, blah, blah. Networking, especially COVID, has gotten a lot of spotlight on LinkedIn. Imagine yourself going as a college student and you had 1 hour committed to networking. How would you go about networking effectively within the hour and within the week? How would your week look like if you had an hour to network? Walk
hour
me
a
through
week,
your
right?
process. Yeah, an hour a week.
Yeah.
There's no like cheating where you could reach out to other people. No education system. That whatever.
So my general strategy is finding the companies where I want to work at the most, and then finding the people within that company who are most open to speaking with you. And usually those people are entry level folks who just started, who are still being onboarded, or people who are entry level and are particularly active on whichever social media that you decide to use, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, or LinkedIn, whatever. Reaching out to people on unconventional channels, you catch them at a lower kind of guard, right? You catch them while their guard's down. And so they have more of a tendency to say yes sometimes, as long as you So I kind of finesse the conversation and um, speak to the reason and a really enticing reason about as to why you're interested in working where they're working, right? Talking about how the company's products aligns with your own interests, or talking about how the company's values align with your own values, or talking about this person specifically and what they work on and how you're interested about that. That takes doing research first. And so if you only have an hour a week, I would spend the first couple of weeks just doing research. I wouldn't spend it talking to anyone. I would just take the time to learn about the places where I want to work so that whenever I do actually go out and reach out to people for potential conversations, I could be like, yo, I'm already knowledgeable about your company and I can already give you specific insights that makes it seem like I'm already a part of the employee experience at that company. So now all you have to do is be willing to talk to me.
I like that. So Taylor, so splitting your time up to research, committed research for the target companies you have, and then going full out on the companies you know of.
Yeah. A lot of times, what I see people doing is they reach out to literally every single person on the face of the planet on LinkedIn, and they just hope someone bites. And then if someone bites, that they'll maybe apply to that company, but maybe not because that company might not match or align with whatever their values or whatever their interests are. It's a crapshoot, right?
Yeah.
With the research way first, you know exactly what you're getting into whenever you're applying to whatever company because you've already researched them, you've already researched their products, you've already researched their work, you've already researched their culture, you've already read the reviews, and you can speak to that.
What about you, Belinda? What's a good, if you had an hour a week, how would you time manage networking? Manage your time networking.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Dewey about research first. I guess on a more like detailed level, I think of it as a funnel. So I like to use spreadsheets. So let's just call it the hit list, right? You think of your dream list of companies that you want to be part of. And then you go through the data, or I would go through the data. Are they actually hiring right now? Because if they're not hiring and have a hiring freeze,
Good point.
right? And then from that funnel, you get a shorter list. And then after that, go on LinkedIn and see if you know anyone in your LinkedIn network that actually works there. Because referrals will always get your foot in the door versus a cold link.
Cold apply.
Because not everyone is as nice as Dewey. Most people will ignore your LinkedIn message. So I would say, like, ideally, you already know this person, or they might be a second degree connection, and then your first degree could refer you to your second degree. So at least you have a warmer contact there, and then go from there.
Right. It's about kind of like degree of warmth, like Belinda was saying, right? Like if you reach out to a random stranger cold turkey, like it's very cold, right? It's very like you can't establish that rapport. A lot of people don't have the online conversational skills to immediately establish a warm rapport with somebody, right? That's something that you develop over time. And it's a very difficult skill to cultivate. So an easier method would just to be find somebody who's already warm with you in the first place.
Cool. Nerly, anything else to add, or from your experience of applying to positions, how did you go about networking?
Honestly, what they said is exactly what I had to learn because I did not know anything from the get-go. I mean, it's just a matter of talking and connecting to people that they actually say, hey, this worked for me. And that's where I grabbed a little bit of everybody. And focusing on a company is like the number one thing that I heard from everyone. So it's not about just putting yourself out there to everything. It's just you focus and you do your research. That's very, very important.
Yeah.
I definitely.
And what Nerly was saying too, not everyone's entire process will work for you specifically. Like she was saying, she took a little bit of bits from other people's tactics. Do that. Go do that. Like go and find what works for you specifically. Give it a trial, then iterate on it.
Yeah. I wouldn't even call it networking when I reach out to people. I call it friend working. So when I was in J&J before, I hired for co-ops and interns as well. And I would get the first message would be, I saw this post. Can you refer
Can you
me?
refer me?
And resume. And I wouldn't delete the message, but I would not read the message because it's quite why am I doing something for you? You're not even trying to
Well,
understand
here's
me.
the thing. Here's the thing about that is
Yeah.
that somebody who asks you for a referral straight off the bat, when I think a lot of people don't understand is that a referral sometimes means that you are putting your own name on that referral, which means you are putting your own reputation on that person's application being a quality candidate. So with us, like if somebody refers a person and they turn out to be like a really poor candidate, the next time somebody refers or that person refers somebody, we're going to be like, now we're triggered. See?
Ooh. So I actually had a question. So the first message is quite important when you see someone. So there's two types of messages. One where I want to look for your advice. So you're giving something away to the person, or the other one is talk about yourself. So tell me about why you joined Citi. Between those two messages, which one do you feel is more impactful to want to start a chat with them?
The second one, whenever I see like, why did you join City? I'm like, I've answered this question 5 million times. I kind of don't feel like answering it again. Usually, the messages that I respond to, like I have a motivation to respond to, tells me something about the person who is applying, and then asks me a question that I haven't answered 5 million times, or or asks me a question that I can answer succinctly because what did I join City is a 2 hour long story, and I ain't got time to type that. And what is the culture like at City is also a 5 hour long story because our organization has 230,000 people in it. So asking a question that the other person can answer really concisely within a couple of sentences or gives them a motivation of wanting to answer a question that you ask is really important.
Yeah. And bouncing off of that, this might sound superficial, but I don't care what question you ask me. I'm going to be clicking on your LinkedIn like profile. And if the LinkedIn profile doesn't look great, like I'm sorry, I'm just not going to respond. Like if the LinkedIn profile, I see it as your resume. If it doesn't look like there's a lot going on there, there's no projects or things like that, like it's probably not worth it. But then regardless of the question, it could be a super long question. You could send me 5 of them. Your LinkedIn profile looks great. Like I'll just say, let's hop on a call and let's talk
Right.
about it.
Exactly. Like your LinkedIn profile is a representation of who you are, like what you're putting out into the world, right? So if you're going to leverage LinkedIn as a platform, take the time to build that baseline of what people will always be looking at.
LinkedIn or resume? Which do you feel is more important for a candidate?
I mean, resumes for sure, because that's how they get into the application. That's how they get into the interview. But like I said, if you're going to use LinkedIn, like actually use it, right? Because a lot of times we'll look at a resume and we'll be on the fence about them, and then we look up their LinkedIn, and if they have a robust LinkedIn presence and they have things filled out that is an extension of their resume, we can be like, okay, this is more detailed. This gives us more descriptions of what they were doing. But if we look at their resume or their LinkedIn and they don't have a picture and they don't have any descriptions and they have that like, this is where this person's posts in the last 90 days are. This tells me nothing. This gives me no additional information. All it does is it tells me, okay, you bothered to create an account on LinkedIn and then didn't actually bother to leverage it.
So what percentage, so with the resumes you accept, what percentage of the candidates do you go back to refer on LinkedIn? Do you search them up? So you have like a list of resumes, let's say 500 resumes, and you accept maybe 10 for interviews. Do you actually go back to LinkedIn, type their name up to take a look at who you're interviewing?
Oh no! If we accept their resumes, like I ain't got time for that. Like
That's
if your
behavioral
resume
interviews to stop.
exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, gotcha. So, LinkedIn is a really good way for folks to learn about the company, learn what ticks within Citi or the company that they want to go into, tailor their resume based off of that. Some of the conversations they have, a lot of it being how do I portray impact? If it is I've noticed there are some companies that are bottom line driven. So, they're looking for efficiencies. So, make sure you include efficiencies in some sort of way, cost savings, etc. But for example, for LinkedIn, it seems like it's better to be active on LinkedIn, have a full profile. Do you feel to use LinkedIn effectively? Do you have to comment, post? How engaged is engaged with LinkedIn?
Nah, honestly, you don't actually have to be engaged with LinkedIn as long as you have your profile filled out because we understand, like, not everybody is an influencer, right? I'm not an influencer. Like, that's not a thing that I want to be. But but you don't have to comment to have a presence on LinkedIn. But if your LinkedIn, if your profile picture looks like fresh and it's not a potato, it's not like 180p, and you got like a banner and you have descriptions and your education and all those things filled out, that's good enough.
Awesome. I love that. Do you suggest students put their resume on their LinkedIn as an attachment or you don't?
I mean, if it's like the space is there for convenience, like why not, right? Like leverage every chance that you have.
Yeah. And I like it when folks link their projects in there. If there are demos that you want to show off, I absolutely love that. I actually
Yeah.
go to the demo rather than read through the description sometimes because I want to experience it.
Right, exactly.
Cool. I know we are a little over time. I have a couple of other questions, but maybe what I want to do next is actually take a look at Nerly's resume.
Okay,
Are
hold
you
on.
okay with that, Nerly?
Of course.
Yeah.
No
Just to show folks, so folks who just joined, Nerly, would you like to give an introduction of how you're related to Dewey and the Citi process
just to kind of like what I went through.
in the beginning for those who missed like the 4 o'clock mark?
Okay, no problem. So I saw Dewey post on LinkedIn saying that he was still hiring. So I made sure and I went on my computer to apply. A few days later, I contacted Dewey just to kind of introduce myself and let him know I'm here. And he told me that my resume was accepted and that I'm moving forward. So I just kind of waited for the behavioral interview appointment. And then I did the interview with Dewey and Micah. Both of them interviewed me for the behavioral. And a week later, I was able to do the technical. So I did the technical with Gabe. And then 3 days later, so over the weekend on Monday, I found out about the offer.
That's
So
very
it was
fast.
yeah, it was a very fast
No,
process.
Crazy
we're
fast.
trying to make it faster, okay? Like we're trying to make people process like 3 weeks or less. We don't like making people wait around.
I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That does sound fast, and just 3 interviews too.
Exactly.
Yep, that is nice.
Okay, great. So a window. Okay, so the first thing that you're gonna notice about Nerly's resume is that it like hits you in the face. So uh, as you guys can see, it's very like eye-catching. So like you immediately notice it. Let me tell you guys, in terms of like the order that I saw the resumes that day, like Nerly's was the first one on the top of the list. And I was like, okay, all right, let's get it. Because usually I'm very used to like, okay, standard resume, delineation. I was like, okay. We got some graphics here. That's fine. The second thing I noticed was that like everything was split up very like clearly, well organized. The education aspect, the contacts, everything is linkable. As you guys can see, everything is linkable. All the links are clickable, which is great. I really like the fact that she put all the languages that she's fluent in addition to all the like programming languages that she uses. As somebody who is multilingual myself, I always like it whenever people prove to me that they can communicate in different, languages. The hesitance that I had with Nerly's resume, and the reason that I passed on her resume first, whenever I first read her resume, I was like, nah, girl, bye. is that I looked at her experience and I was like, girl, where's your impact at? Where it be, right? Where it be. So I was like, okay, bye. But then I was like, okay, let me just go back and look at this. And so I looked at her GitHub, or I looked at her projects first, and I was like, okay, can I see what she really likes? And she's like, oh, she likes anime. She's a weeb like me. Love that. So let's look at her GitHub and look at her demo. And all of her demos work. Like they're all videos that she has linked to kind of walk you through the her application. And then I look at her GitHub, right? And all of these has a lot of documentation, which is great. We love to see well documented code, and we also love to see like well structured code, like code that is actually like well structured. You love to see lots of file structure and not just like one file that has like all the components in it. Hate to see that. So I was like, okay, you know what? Okay, Nerly, we see you. We see you with your file structures. So then I was like, okay, yes, let's go ahead and sign her up for an interview, right? So sometimes all it takes is like well organized resume to get you into that behavioral interview.
Wow.
And then she killed all the interviews. So
Yeah, clearly. So it seems like maybe the specific word. So it seems like nearly the fact that you linked your GitHub, your demos in a very consistent manner. I think what would have turned Dewey off is if there were inconsistencies with a bolded resume. If you had multiple colors going on and there were periods all throughout the place, but you actually were very tactical in how it looked, at least.
Yeah, I made sure I actually got a lot of my friends from my class to kind of look over it, because after you see something for so long, you don't see the mistakes anymore. So I was kind of done looking at it. I was like, okay, please tell me what's wrong, stuff.
Yeah. Belinda, what else was quite visual for you? Why did you accept Nerly into the interview stage?
Oh, Belinda had nothing to say in this.
Oh, no say.
Yeah, so I'm not part of the resume screening process. Okay. I'm usually the one after that. So for behaviorals.
Yes. She's not our behavioral interviewers.
Okay. I won't ask about behavioral interviews just so I can focus this session
Yeah,
on
that's another
resume.
conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole other,
whole other
ballgame.
We actually might have mock interview in Disclosed. We're working through the kinks, but it's going to be a fun exercise too.
Yeah.
Not just resume. Cool. Anything else, Dewey, that you wanted to highlight in Nerly's resume that made her stand out?
No, so that's primarily what I want people to understand, is that sometimes people look at your resume multiple times, right? And so you want to make it so that every single time that they go back to it, they understand how your information is structured on that page within like a couple of seconds. Because if Nerly's resume wasn't as organized as it is, I would have just been like, do I really want to go back and look at this resume?
And it's very appealing to look at too, actually.
Yeah.
I do like looking at it.
If you just like scroll out and just like take it all in as like a page, you can see very clear delineations of like her abilities over here, her experiences over here, name, very clear.
Nice. And I think if you were to see it in a stack with the other 4 resumes, this one would have stood out too.
Exactly. Aesthetically.
Yes. Okay, I think that summarizes our session. I know we're 20 minutes over the 5 o'clock mark. There are a lot of different questions out here. And what we'll do is I will try to organize these questions into topics and we can deep dive them together offline. So thank you guys for joining.
Absolutely.
Have a good rest of your day. Thanks,
Bye.
Belinda.
Thanks, Shirley and Belinda.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Nelly. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys, for coming. I hope that was really helpful. Next week, we have someone from Genentech. I see some questions on ATS, by the way. I purposefully didn't ask Dewey around ATS because next week we'll actually have someone from HR come talk about ATS, how we work that system, how Genentech works that system. And following that, we have Facebook, NVIDIA, and Intuit. So really cool people, some from hiring, some from HR, and some from a technical route. So we have actually quite a number of folks coming into Disclosed for the month of July. If you guys learned something today, I am super happy. And I think what you should do is share the love. Share the love on LinkedIn. Post something that you learned today, or post something that you were excited to hear today on LinkedIn. Tag me, tag Dewey. You guys probably don't have Belinda or Nerly's LinkedIn yet, but we'll make a post quickly after this so that if you guys do post, make sure you tag them as well. We want to continue the conversation offline. Like I said, I promise you guys, we will address your questions through a Medium article or some sort of post through LinkedIn. That Disclosed will work with Dewey and the folks, Belinda and Nerly on. So make sure you follow us. Feel free to subscribe on Disclosed. We have sessions every single Thursday. We bring in someone, maybe it's outside the industry, but at least it gives a perspective on the types of resumes that they accept. It's funny because last week we had someone who, in Johnson & Johnson, who said, no, color, I love color. I like having the objective statement up there. But for Dewey, because he sees so many resumes, it's not as important. So take all this advice with a grain of salt. And yeah, well, we'll see you guys next week. Don't worry. Don't cringe over your resume. My resume is probably just as awful. I don't want to take a look at it. But honestly, all these sessions do help because in career centers and other types of resources you might have, peers, etc., you only get a limited perspective. But when you have Dewey, people who are hiring, they give the insider's view. What are they really looking for in a resume? What do their eyes gravitate towards? Clearly for Citi, it was design. How can I look at this for more than 20, 30 seconds? Bold the numbers, make it easy for them to read. Focus on impact, specifically quantitative impact. So thank you guys for joining. Join us next week again at 4:15. All right. Talk soon. Bye, guys.
I don't know how, but I still hear your voice in the morning. I'm praying that you're with me still when the sun goes down. I'm trying to pretend like I'm okay now that I'm lonely, but nothing will ever come close to you. There's no reason for me to hold on like the way I do, but given the chance I would just say it, thinking the way I do of you. All alone in this fire that we had struggled through, ran out of time, searching for life and all that we wanted to be. Can't focus on me. I've been thinking it's time to move forward, but I don't wanna leave you here like you meant nothing. Don't know how to react 'cause I'm missing you here right now. You ran out of time, searching for life and all that you wanted to be. There's no reason for me to hold on like the way I do, But given the chance, I would just say it, thinking the way I do of you. All alone in this fire that we had struggled through. Ran out of time, searching for life and all that we wanted to be. Can't focus on me. My eyes are closed, don't wanna look forward no more. Cause it's the only thing keeping you here. There's no reason for me to hold on like the way I do. But given the chance, I would just say it, thinking the way I do of you. All alone in this fire that we had struggled through. Ran out of time, searching for life and all that we wanted to be. Can't focus on me. Yeah, I can't focus on me. All alone in this fire that we had struggled through. Ran out of time, searching for life and all that we wanted to be. Can't focus on me. Can't focus on me. Can't focus on me. Talk to me, give me a sign. I wanna see you one more time. Cause I've been wanting to know how you've been. Are you proud to hear me now? Can you see me up in the sky? Cause I've been dreaming about this 1,000 times.
I'm not your friend or anything, damn. You think that you're the man, I think therefore I am. I'm not your friend or anything, damn. You think that you're the man, I think therefore I am. Stop. What the hell are you talking about? Get my pretty name out of your mouth. We are not the same with or without. Don't talk. Got me like how you might know how I feel. On top of the world, but you wasn't real. You wasn't ideal. I'm not your friend or anything, damn. You think that you're the man, I think therefore I am. I'm not your friend or anything, damn. You think that you're the man, I think therefore I am. I don't want press to put your name next to mine. We're on different lines, so I wanna be nice enough. They don't call my bluff, cause I'd hate to find articles, 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 whether you remain unremarkable. Ladder, ladder. Interviews, interviews, interviews. When they say your name, I just act confused. Did you have fun? I really couldn't care less, and you can give it my best, but just know I'm not your friend or anything, damn. You think that you're the man, I think therefore I am. I'm not your friend or anything, damn. You think that you're the man, I think therefore I am. I'm sorry, I don't think I caught your name. I'm sorry, I don't think I caught your name. I'm not your friend or anything, damn. You think that you're the man, I think therefore I am. I'm not your friend or anything, damn. You think that you're the man, I think therefore I am.
I remember what I said, spoken in the dead of night. We're through